I try to cover a variety of games, and I wanted to try a different type of video where I lumped a bunch of them together. So let's get into the first game. Ghost 1.0 is a Metroidvania type game with some RPG elements. You'll spend most of your time exploring the environments and battling enemies within the combat arenas. As you defeat enemies, you'll gain energy. You can use that energy to buy items that can help you within fights, like a blast that can damage everyone on screen, or recharging your own energy so you can fire off your gun, or healing items. This currency can also buy you different sidearms that come in handy for the bigger fights, like a shotgun blast, wave blasters, and assault rifles. Lastly, you can buy buffs to your own stats. The trick with the money is if you die, you're gonna lose everything that you're carrying, making you want to proceed with caution, especially if you've netted a large amount. Thankfully, you earn the energy relatively quickly, especially by entering into combat arenas that will give you a good amount. It can get annoying to stockpile a bunch of energy for some upgrades and then die from an enemy you just couldn't dodge. The combat is fast and fun with many different types of enemies coming at you. Some when destroyed turn into a second form, others when hit can launch mines that will either hurt you or their own allies. You'll need to manage your energy during fights as that is your ammo source. It does slowly regenerate on its own, but picking it up from defeated enemies also helps you. During many of the puzzle areas, you can leave your body and take control of an enemy to complete a puzzle or defeat a large group of enemies. This is a nice change of pace. I do like these parts because they make you think differently about the game, and it's pretty neat to be able to control some of the robots in the environment to flick a switch or two for you to be able to get through it. Exploring, finding upgrades, and the combat is all fun. There were a few sections that I experienced that had instant fail or detection parts, but thankfully those are short. If you're looking for a Metroid-like experience, I would recommend this one, especially on the Switch. State of Anarchy is a fun twin-stick shooter with a unique art style. You're dropped into a level and you need to shoot everything that moves. As you defeat enemies, you'll gain experience, and you can use that to earn upgrades like more health or movement speed. Cash is dropped from defeated enemies, and you can use that for your weapon upgrades like improved fire rates, range, or damage. As you shoot throughout the levels, you'll face off against bosses that will give you new guns, so you'll always have something new to play with. You get mines, lasers, assault rifles, shotguns, and more. The game progressively gets more and more chaotic, and it turns into having just this mess of enemies that it's so much fun to blast them away and dodge their fire. You'll have normal soldiers hunting you down, flying enemies, armed cars, and heavy damage dealing bosses. The game can get tedious with prolonged play sessions, and it's best played in bursts. The art style is unique and goes with the game's fun presentation. It looks like the drawings one would have in a class if they were really bored. Fun doodles that create an interesting visual style with familiar gameplay. Overall, it is pretty fun, though it can get tedious. The game goes for about $4 on the PC and twice that on consoles. Considering it starts to feel tedious after a few hours, I would recommend if you want to get this one, check it out on a sale and get it on the Switch for portability, because it would be good to have the pick up and play, just play a little bit and then put it down for a while. Slaps and Beans is a beat-em-up brawler. Many of you, including myself, might not know who Bud Spencer and Terrence Hill are, so I looked them up, and they are a slapstick duo from many beloved movies from the 70s. I think fans of these characters and their films will enjoy the game. For everyone else, you're in for a light, funny, generally good time. Having no prior knowledge of these characters, I was able to get into the action and enjoy the story. The story does go on the side of silly, and it works. The beat-em-up fighting is the main gameplay you'll experience. Punches and kicks are fun to land on characters, along with humorous blocks against bad guys. If you're Bud and you block a smaller character's attack, he will stop that punch in the middle of the air. Terrence's attacks like to aim for the groin and can result in some humorous expressions from the enemies. You'll have some heavy attacks that do more damage and create a comical boing noise when they land. You can pick up items in the environment like chairs, frying pans, or even downed enemies to hit people with. To break up the main action are a bunch of mini-games. You have racing horses, western-style shootouts, even a food fight, and more. The story is silly and humorous and will probably make you smile. I do think it is neat that this game is both a cool piece of entertainment for fans of these characters and can act as an introduction for their body of work. Plus, the whole game can be played in 2-player co-op. Throw in a solid soundtrack and you'll have a good time. This shoot 'em up is going to be similar to anyone who has played Ikaruga. You need to switch the color of your ship to then match the enemy's shot colors, and then be able to switch those to be able to damage your enemies. So essentially, if you're red, your attacks won't hurt red enemies, but you can also absorb red bullets. and the same goes for other different colors. This creates a flow that can be a bit tricky to get a handle on, and the game is no cakewalk either. It goes for more of being an old school shooter. I did feel like shorter levels would have helped the pacing in this game, and what I mean by that is because since the game is so hard, having it in quicker bursts with that difficulty and then having that sense of accomplishment of being able to get through a few levels would do great for the pacing and progression. Overall, this isn't anything you haven't seen before, but it is decent fun. If you're into brutal shoot 'em ups, maybe give this one a try on sale. This is a top-down action RPG. You'll have access to a variety of weapons to attack your enemies with. The levels are procedurally generated, and there are more roguelite elements at play here. I have played a few of these types of games before, and this particular one just didn't click with me. I found it hard to get into. I did see that many people really do enjoy this title, so while it isn't my cup of tea, if you're interested into these types of games and you want to give this one a shot, and you're into roguelites, maybe check this one out on a sale. Though I couldn't get into it, what I did like was its charming presentation. I covered Gorn Cannoli 2 when it released on PC earlier this year, and now you can find it on the Switch and PS4, and I still highly recommend it. Gorn Cannoli 2 is a cheesy, over-the-top, side-scrolling shooter that is both great to look at and play. The shooting and controls are satisfying. You can double jump and roll to dodge enemy fire. You get a wide variety of guns with shotguns, Tommy guns, pistols, and many others. Shotguns and rocket launchers pack a nice punch to their hits, and other guns are just satisfying to shoot people with because of the bloody mess that results. You'll fight gangsters, zombies, and even Nazis over in Europe. The comic book-like visuals do a great job of capturing your attention along with the entertaining violence. You can play the entire game in online or local co-op. It will take roughly 5 hours to beat, which makes this a solid party game, especially with the pick up and play nature. Cannoli 2 is a damn good time. Battle Supremacy is a tank-focused shooter on the Switch, and sadly it isn't worth your time.
What? No, I don't want to do that.
You're going to have a great time.
No.
You might meet some new people.
No.
You'll even make some new friends.
No.
I am a fan of twin-stick shooters. I like their intensity and the action that comes along with them. I also like trying different takes on the genre. Earhart sadly isn't worth your time. It is one of those roguelike games where you'll lose everything upon death while retaining some items. Now that is fine if your core gameplay and the loop was engaging. That way when you die and lose many of your items that you've earned, you still have that fun gameplay to fall back on. This is where the game fails. The controls and action do hurt the game. The best way to describe the controls is a bit floaty while also being a bit loose. I always felt like I was shooting in the general direction of what I wanted to hit, but I never felt like I could always hit what I wanted to hit. Combat was not engaging as I felt like I was fighting the controls rather than focusing on fighting the enemies. I did find some of the transitions between the areas pretty cool and the music was enjoyable, but overall Earhart failed to pull me in, and I would look elsewhere for another roguelite or twin-stick shooter experience. Here we have a charming platformer with a great soundtrack and visual style. You're going to be going through levels, jumping around and defeating enemies. Defeated enemies net you gold, which you can then use to buy upgrades for your characters. Bosses are multi-form bosses and are fun to fight and defeat. The game has an overall lightness to it. As you progress within the game, you'll come across different powers that let you change different forms, and these new forms let you then access different areas of the map. So in this way, it kind of acts like a Metroid-like experience where the game encourages you to go back to older areas once you've accessed new abilities to be able to explore it further. It's fun, colorful, and charming. Definitely check it out. Though all the other games on my list were primarily indie titles, I did want to bring a small mention to the Titan Quest port for the Switch. Ever since the Switch launched, I felt like it would be the perfect system to have a good action RPG loot-based game. Games that keep you continually addicted and wanting to play more of them because of the loot drops that you continually keep getting. Which is why when the Switch first launched, I felt like Diablo was going to be ported over, and it would be a great match for the system. And since Diablo is coming later this year, if you need to have something in the meantime, I would highly suggest Titan Quest. It's Diablo 2, but with a very Greek myth kind of style. Titan Quest has been out for many years on the PC, and it was very fun when it finally got ported over to PS4 and Xbox One earlier this year. I'm having a really good time playing it on the Switch because I can start my game at home, pick it up, then take it out somewhere if I have to go on a business trip, and then bring it right back and playing the same save file. Though it isn't the perfect port, I have experienced a few crashes, but I love that you can take this loot-based action RPG anywhere with you. And Titan Quest is a game that I think more people should talk about. Plus, you get the local and online co-op options, so this makes it a solid pick. While I enjoy doing deep analysis videos and reviews, I do enjoy the opportunities to cover different games, especially because you never know what you're going to pick up and play, and then have that be a new experience that you fall in love with, or something that you realize probably wasn't that good. As many of my viewers know, my impression videos that I call Quickish Thoughts are my thoughts on the game so far. I wanted to try presenting these types of videos in a different format by giving you several games that I have played, giving you the quick opinions on them. In some cases, I am looking at a game that I have reviewed, but now it's on a new platform, so I'd like to talk about it a little bit again. Let me know if you like this format, with having several games in one video instead of many mini videos. I felt like this was a good way to present all these different games to you without spamming your sub boxes with a bunch of mini videos. I will still do Quickish Thoughts videos, but these can be fun to do to kind of change things up once in a while. Let me know what you thought, and thank you very much for watching.